Why digital skills matter? Well, before answering this question, let me ask you another one. How many of you present here today have at least one connected device to the internet? You can raise your hands if you do. It can be a phone, a smartwatch, or a laptop. How many of you have two devices connected to the internet with you? Wow, okay. Does anybody have three? I actually had a prize for that person, but, well. Actually, the point I was trying to make here, it was not just an easy way to interact. I tried to make a point, which is that we're all global citizens, which means that by being connected to the internet, we all have the chance, the great opportunity to have the world's information at our fingertips. And the only thing we need to actually access the internet at its full capacity is digital skills, which we're going to talk about today. Today, there are more than, there are approximately 3 billion people online. And the number is growing on a yearly basis. This guy is from Kenya. He's a farm owner. And because of the internet, he has the same access to information and as maybe a business manager in TEDxTârguMureș or in Bucharest or in another city in Romania. However, him and other people are the exception because more than half of the world's population is not yet connected to the internet. And the situation is actually quite dire because even though many companies and NGOs are trying to fight this to get more people online, the internet is actually a luxury for many of us, and sometimes we even forget that we are privileged to have access to it. I was one of the lucky ones because that's me in the picture. I was, I think, about 5 or 6 years old, and I was lucky because I had a personal computer 20 years ago, basically, when not many people in Romania had access to such technology. I said I was lucky, but I soon discovered it was not actually that lucky because, funny enough, I found it quite difficult to share the computer with anybody else. And actually, I had somebody in the family who shared a passion with me, a strong passion for video games. That someone is actually present here in this room today. He's my father, who was an avid gamer at the time, and it was quite difficult for us to negotiate our time at the computer, but yeah, we learned to cohabitate together, let's say. And I'm really thankful for him because besides providing competition in many games we played together, he was also the person who introduced me to the digital world, basically. And also, and I'm not joking, he was always the person who was buying the latest technology, so I never actually had to think about changing my video board or any software on my computer. I actually always had the latest technology for the video games I was playing thanks to him, so thanks, Dad. Funny enough, though, when I started high school, I slowly but surely started to move away from this passion of mine, of playing video games, to something a bit bigger, I thought. I started to become addicted almost to the internet. At first, it was nothing big, nothing major. I was addicted to Yahoo Messenger, High Five, all the other social networks that were present back then in 2006 when I started high school. But in years, as I grew older, as I started university, I started to appreciate browsing the web as something much more rewarding than a simple leisurely activity. I started to appreciate the internet as something that could offer me opportunities in life. And I have to say now, years after, that thanks to the internet in part, I had the big opportunity to work or travel in 10 different countries in the world, and also study in 5 of them. So basically the internet opened the world to me, and I grasped it with both hands, and I took fully advantage of it. But again, because I'm trying to send a message here, I have to remind you, and I had to remind myself that even though I felt so fortunate, I had all these opportunities, even finding my job at Google was due to the internet, because funny enough, I found the job because of a post on social media. So the internet had a direct connection for me being here as a Google Growth Engine Manager. Despite all of this, I always kept in the back of my mind the fact that I was privileged, that again, more than half of the world's population was not in my situation, that people didn't have access to the internet, or even more sad, I would say, they had access, but they didn't know how to use it. They didn't have the digital skills needed to use the internet. Before we go to talk about Europe or about Romania, because I'm going to discuss a bit about the situation in both continent and country, I want to share with you a bit of information about digital literacy, because this is a topic I will talk about for all the rest of my presentation, basically. With digital literacy, this is a collective term used for the set of skills we need to basically survive in this digital age we live in. I will not go into all of them. I will just describe three I think are most relevant. First of all is the communication and collaboration part. Either we do it informally through social media, or we do it formally through I don't know, tools like Google Drive or Asana or Trello to manage our projects. For us, the internet offers the ability to communicate and collaborate. That's first. Second, which is even more important, is the ability that the internet gives us, the digital literacy skill gives us, to find information, but even more importantly, critically evaluate it. And I say it's even more important because nowadays we live in a world which is full of fake news. It's a trendy topic nowadays, and we just have to learn not just to find the information, but also critically evaluate it, not take it for granted. Last point I'm going to mention about all these 8 dimensions is about security. Even though now probably not many of you are thinking about this, but managing and protecting your online identity is becoming more and more of a problem for people. And in the future, having complete privacy will be really impossible. So now you have to always remember to protect either your passwords or the computers you're using or the internet connections you're using. In Europe, the situation is mixed, let's say, because there are countries like Sweden, like Finland, or like Denmark who they have really good digital skills, the people who live there. However, on the other side, there's countries like Romania, like Bulgaria, who have a lot to do to catch up with these countries as well as with other countries globally. Currently, I think the top performers in terms of digital skills are the US, Japan, and South Korea, so we have a lot of catch up to do before we get close to them. According to the latest research coming from the European Commission, because I had to study a lot of documents to come up with this talk to really summarize all the key statistics, one of the first ones, which is probably the most shocking one, is that only half of the Europeans in the EU have the basic digital skills I referred to earlier. You know, know how to use social media, post, use tools as Microsoft Word or PowerPoints. These tools are not known by almost half of the people in Europe to a degree which is acceptable, let's say, which is close to the standard. Furthermore, today there are more than 500,000 jobs which are unfilled. They're vacancies. They're positions that you or I can work if we would have the necessary skills we need. And this is a paradox because if we think about it, we live in a time when unemployment rates are at their highest. We see the situation in Greece, in Spain, in Italy, where people don't have jobs, but at the same time, companies have vacancies. So you see the paradox. There's a mismatch between the supply of skills people have and the demands of companies. This is basically causing many of the organizations around the world to find it really difficult to find appropriately skilled people for the digital needs they have. And lastly, about Europe, is that in the near future, we're pretty much screwed, I would say, because 90% of the jobs will require at least basic levels of digital skills. So sooner or later, you'll have to learn. Sooner or later, you have to adapt, because if not, European countries will not be able to keep up with the other powers of the world. And the only solution, or at least the solution I believe in at the moment, is that Europe, in order to function in the digital age we live in, has to equip all its citizens with at least basic digital skills. As a response to this crisis, we at Google came up with an initiative which is called the Growth Engine Program. This happened 2 years ago, and the main aim was to train people in digital skills, as simple as that might sound. Initially, our target was entrepreneurs, because we thought that by helping entrepreneurs digitize their companies, it will be the easiest way to help our economies grow. Because, as some of you might know, SMBs, small and medium-sized businesses, are the growth engine of every country. This term is translated in Romanian, so for all of you to know, IMM-uri. This is how the economy grows. Actually, in Romania, 98% of the companies are SMBs, so if you help these companies grow, the small companies, you would help the whole economy grow eventually. However, we also realized that it's not enough to train up-and-coming, it's not enough to train established entrepreneurs, but you have to look after the up-and-coming ones, the young generation, us, many people here in the room today. So I'm really proud to say that after starting the program 2 years ago, today we have included students in our target group, so we're also offering these free trainings for students. Since we began this program, we actually trained approximately 2 million Europeans in digital skills. We're now present in every country in the EU, and also we recently extended to Asia and Africa. So our efforts continue up to this day. And I'm also quite happy because this is my daily job that Google announced earlier this year that we continue to pledge our efforts or finances and everything to help anybody, regardless of their race, background, or interest, to acquire new digital skills that would allow her or him be as successful as possible in the digital age. Before we look into the situation in Romania, because that's the reason why I came here, to tell you a bit more about Romania, not about Europe and the world, because we still live in our country, so we have to respect that first. We have to learn what DESI means. DESI is an acronym which stands for Digital Economy and Society Index. This was a tool devised by the European Commission to help basically its experts measure the technical and technological development of its member states. So they came up with these 5 dimensions, and I'm going to briefly talk about all of them because they're important for you to understand what's the situation in Romania and to understand each of them. Connectivity is the first, and as you might probably guess, it refers to the access, speed, and quality of the internet. Second one is human capital, which refers to the digital skills of society. Third is the use of internet, which reflects the online activities we do online, be it online shopping or online banking. Fourth, integration of digital technology, which is a bit more tricky. It actually refers to the digitalization level of companies. How many companies use services like, I don't know, e-commerce or e-invoices? How many companies are digitized? And last but not least, I would say one of the most important dimensions is the digital public services one, which refers to the level of digitization of our governments, which, as you probably might guess, we're not really doing quite well in this field. Actually, according to this index, the European Commission updates every year, so the last update came in 2016, Romania is in the last place in the European Union regarding digital skills. And this was the cue. This was actually my starting point when I was preparing this talk, the reason why I thought it's really important to raise awareness about this issue. And we're actually going to look a bit about why we're so in a, I don't know, precarious situation. The only 2 dimensions in which we're actually good, because there is some positive in there, are 2 dimensions which you're probably familiar with because the TV is always spamming us with this news. First of all is the high speed of the internet. We Romanians occupy the 2nd place in Europe in terms of speed of internet, which I think only Belgium is better in this regards. Another positive exception is social media. And with social media, thanks to us, the avid Facebook users over here, Romania is in the 3rd place in the EU after Hungary, surprising maybe, and Belgium again. So we have 2 categories in which we're doing well. However, all the other dimensions, because there's 5 of them, and sub-dimensions, we are either last or 27 out of 28. This is valid for digital skills of people, this is valid for the amount of online activities we do as a country, and again, very importantly, for the digital public services we have. I would say that the technocrat government did a decent job in improving this because last year we had a government which encouraged open data, which put together strategies and initiatives like GovIT Hub, which were aimed at getting the people closer to the government and making the government more transparent in a way. As you all know, probably, I don't want to get into the details nowadays, it's probably reversing a bit the trend, but I still hope that we're going to continue working on digital public services. Last statistics about Romania, I don't want to get too much into them, but this is the shocking part actually, because only 26% of Romanians have basic digital skills. So if you remember when I was talking about digital literacy, those skills. So only 26% of our country has those skills, compared to approximately 53% the EU average, so double. Another, even more shocking statistics I found, again on the European Commission website, is that 32% of Romanians never use the internet. So this is a paradox actually, because I was referring to the high speed of internet we have in Romania, but sadly we live in our bubble here in this room and probably with our friends because we have this high speed internet, but 32% of Romanians actually never used it. So this is again double the EU rate, because the EU average is 16% of people who never use the internet. Lastly, I think really important to mention is that 46% of Romanians the Romanian workforce possesses only basic or above basic digital skills, which means that the workforce we have, people who are basically qualified to work in every job, every sector, or just making the ends meet in terms of digital skills. And by the way, by above basic digital skills, I mean the skills which are requiring complex software managing. Let's say CRM, Photoshop, even coding can go into this category. So again, it seems that we're okay, but in Europe, the average is 72% of people in the workforce who have these skills. So again, we're halfway there. Last but not least, what we were doing at Google in Romania is Atelierul Digital, as Johan was mentioning initially. We started this initiative last year, and this is basically our version of Growth Engine in Romania. It's an online platform, some of you hopefully know, through which we try to help young people especially develop digital skills, digital marketing skills. I think we have around 89 courses, they're all free, available to everybody, and they teach you everything from how to build an online presence to how to use social media. They even give you a certificate at the end of it if you complete all the courses. So it's a pretty good tool. Since we started the online platform, we also started visiting cities in Romania to talk with people like yourself. We've been to TEDxTârguMureș, to Petru Maior a couple of times to teach young people digital marketing. I think in total we have approximately more than 11,000 young people touched through the offline trainings and approximately 34,000 people in the online platform. So if you add the numbers, it's approximately 50,000 young people who've been through the trainings since May, since last year, since we started. And this number might not mean much to us now, but if you think about it, that's a fifth of the student population in Romania. So for us, it was huge in December when we reached this number. I want to conclude, because I'm already running out of time, that Atelierul Digital is not the only tool out there. There's many other. There's actually other companies who are doing similar things in Romania, helping people acquire digital skills. However, I strongly believe, and I'm a bit biased, I have to admit, that this is the most ambitious one. And besides being the most ambitious one, it gives me really great pleasure every day to raise awareness about this really simple, yet I would say really important fact, that, as I said initially, digital skills matter. Thank you very much.